With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below. Let's jump over here to Saw, the Saw series, which was just recently back. Did you know? Last fall. Did you guys know that was a thing? I didn't. I mean, I knew about it, but I forgot about it. I haven't thought about a Saw movie since like Saw 3, which I do believe the terminology I used for that movie in describing my thoughts on it immediately afterward was, that was sawsome. Yeah, I will see myself out. The Saw franchise has been able to do things very well for a long time. The first movie was a $1 million budget, directed by James Wan, who has now gone on, he's doing Aquaman. It kicked off his career and it did really well, but then they just kept it going. And now apparently, even though Jigsaw is meant to be a standalone film, they're already setting up another sequel because it's not hard to get torture porn on the big screen and make money off of it. If you recall, Saw was doing very well up until about probably Saw 5, I think. And Saw 5 saw a bit of a drop from the opening weekend. The opening weekend numbers for Saw were usually around $30 million. Again, based upon a very small investment. And they would do very well after that. But when 5 or 6 rolled around and it started dropping off, that's when Lionsgate stopped making it a yearly release and basically let the franchise die. In which case everyone was kind of like, yeah, that's okay. I'm okay with that. But it says here, Lionsgate's Jigsaw, the 8th Saw movie, is now on home video. It was a huge success, setting the stage for a 10th film in the franchise. That's kind of weird, right? So it's the 8th movie, but it's setting up the 10th film. I just want to point out that that feels like it's a bit of a typo. While Peter and Michael Spierig will not be returning for the next installment, they did secretly set the stage for a sequel of their own. When asked how the film sets up a potential 9th movie, Peter responded, "There's a lot of things, there are a lot of things that go on in Jigsaw that we talked about where they could go in further movies. And so there are things with the characters and ideas that have the foundations of other things that could potentially come into the next couple movies. You want to make the movie itself a complete experience for the audience, satisfying experience in terms of story, of feeling like there's a conclusion, but at the same time, there are some questions about the characters and their arcs and things like that where we haven't explained. And we certainly talked about it with the producers and the writer and even the actors, where things could potentially go. It really becomes a question of, does the audience want more? Are they keen to see these characters, the characters who survive, and even sometimes the characters who don't survive can end up in another Saw film based on its history. There's always room for flashbacks and who knows what, which is true. They did that in the, I think it was the second movie, had the one girl. No, it was like the third movie had the one girl who had survived one of his games. I think she was introduced in the second movie or something. And then she had, no, she was introduced in the first movie, I think, but then came back to be his assistant in the third movie. The third movie, when he died, and they kept Jigsaw around for another 5 movies. Again, kind of jumping back and forth depending on how they want to sell the story. And I get that with what they're trying to do here. So basically they're just setting it up for if they want to jump through another hoop with the franchise, if they want to just tell another story, they can find an adjacent. There's one Saw movie that I think picks up the day after another Saw movie, or no, at the same time of another Saw movie in order to keep Jigsaw still alive. I mean, when it comes to a puppet master of death and this kind of torture porn expert, you would figure that he would have a lot on his mind at the time and only be able to really handle one thing. But the way that they've made him out to be some kind of malevolent god when it comes to multitasking has, I think, been a bit of a draw or drag on the audience. I haven't seen the Jigsaw movie. I haven't even seen Saw 6 or Saw 7. And I lost interest, as did a lot of people that I know. That being said, if the movie did very well, as it claims to have done, probably off of a small budget and the fact that it has a legacy franchise title behind it, which will then spur interest. And if it's any bit as good as the other ones, then it will be like, yeah, that was all right. We can do more. They'll keep it going. Because, I mean, to be fair, when's the last time Lionsgate really had a big franchise, right? They ended Mockingjay, the Hunger Games in 2014. And they haven't done, or no, 2015, I think. It was 2015? Yeah, 2015 for Hunger Games. But they haven't really had much. There's no Twilight. 50 Shades, even though that's kind of a ripoff of Twilight, that's with Universal. So Lionsgate is in need of having some kind of franchise to keep the money coming in. And that's probably one of the reasons why they'll continuously put out these micro-budget horror films in order to see them do well. And if you want to see a prime example as to why they would probably do this, look at Blumhouse, right? They're with Universal, but they've done Get Out, which is nominated for Best Picture, the Purge movies, Paranormal Activity movies, a whole bunch of low-budget, micro-budget horror films. And Lionsgate probably understands now more than ever that by putting out that kind of low-budget horror can have a very large return on a minimal investment, which is why Jigsaw is not going anywhere anytime soon, even though personally, I would prefer it to just try something new, which it's Hollywood, so let's face it, that probably won't happen.